Sometimes you have to slow down so that you could pick up speed. And what do you want to slow down for? You want to slow down long enough to at least, assess your reality. Stop trying so hard. How do you do less and achieve more? Is it possible to do less and achieve more? What do you think? Possible to do less and achieve more? Is there a difference between activity and productivity? The whole concept of working hard, I think, goes back, into the 40s and 50s, when people were laboring in fields and laboring in factories, and you had to go in and put in a hard day's work or a good day's work. So ask yourself this question: is it possible to work less and achieve more? Is it possible to work less and achieve more? Yes or no? Let me give you a very, very quick example of what I mean. How many of you, and you've seen me do this in the past, how many of you have ever tried to solve the Rubik's Cube? Anybody try to solve the Rubik's Cube ever? Now, why is it that you can work really hard trying to solve the Rubik's Cube and never solve it? There's over 1 million different moves that you can make with this 3x3x3 Rubik's Cube. Over 1 million possible moves, this way, that way, 2 up, 2 down, 2 around. So why is it that you can work hard and do more and achieve less? Anybody ever solve the Rubik's Cube, right? You tried, you were bored, right? You were bored because there's so many possible options. Is it possible that you have some disempowering or bad habits around working hard, but maybe you're not being efficient and maybe you're not being smart? Maybe. Is that possible? So I want to give you a few things that you can do to work less and achieve more. So is the algorithm to solve the Rubik's Cube readily available? If you are committed to solving the Rubik's Cube, is it readily available if, for example, you go to YouTube and you have somebody walk you through the exact steps you need to take? That's one way to go from trying a lot of different possibilities, right, to finding out a path to achieving the goal faster. Do you think if somebody showed you the algorithm or the steps, it would be faster and easier? So there is one example, right, of how can you work less to achieve more. And that's called what? Does anybody tell me what that's called? Well, other than being smart. What's it called other than being smart? Isn't that called modeling? Isn't that called modeling? We model the behavior that's already been proven to work. That's called modeling. So what most people do is they'll take something like the Rubik's Cube and they'll just keep trying something, and it won't work. So they put it down and they get bored or they get tired or they get frustrated. But that's also called, yes, many of you are saying, I'm on Instagram here and Facebook here, right? Many of you are calling that efficient. So here's my question for you. Are you being efficient in every one of your roles? For example, are you being efficient at earning money? Do we know how to earn more money? If you are committed to earning more money, do you know how to earn money? Do you know the exact steps to earn more money today, this week, and this month? Do you know how? If you want to release weight and keep it off, do you know the exact formula for the food you should eat, how many calories, how much sleep you need, and how much of a caloric burn you need per day to be in a deficit to release weight and keep it off? Is the answer readily available if you are committed? Like, think about this, right? How do you work less and achieve more, right? The answer is, first, you see yourself achieving the result that you want, right? Let's go internally first. Would you agree with that? Let's go internally first. And Dino, why don't you mix money with weight? It's about achieving a goal, right? It's for achieving a goal, right? And so when we are looking to achieve any goal, would you agree that there's a way of thinking that when you think that way, okay, it is the right way of thinking? Would you also agree that there's an emotional state that you need to be in? And even though you may be frustrated at first, frustration actually leads to the release of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And would you agree that when we're frustrated, we have a little bit of adrenaline or cortisol in our system, that's actually a good way to achieve a goal because we have the extra energy of the stress hormone? A lot of people try to stay away from being stressed, but a little bit of stress is actually good. So here's what I like to do. Number one, if you want to stop trying so hard and you want to achieve more by doing less, stop just trying to do. Here's what you need to do first. You start off, number one, with getting a vision in your mind of the end state that you want. This is what you might have, but this is what you want. This is what the end state is. So the first thing we always want to do is we want to give our brain a visual representation of whatever it is that we want to achieve completed. We may not know how to achieve it yet, but that doesn't belong in that step. So step number one is look at the visual that you want, whether it's for your health, for money, or business, your relationship. See it in its end state, part one. Part two, how important do you think self-talk is? How you talk to yourself, right? So, oh my God, this is so hard. I can't figure it out. Should I do this left? Should I do this right? Should I go two at a time? Should I go left first and then to the right? Maybe I should do it in my left. No, that is disempowering self-talk, trying to figure it out on the fly. When we're dealing with self-talk, questions are the key to the biocomputer's genius. Let me repeat. Questions are the key to your biocomputer's genius. So let me ask you all a question. It's not positive self-talk necessarily, Joy, but self-talk is the key to opening up your brain software. So what is one empowering question that you could ask yourself to make the behavior that you take a smart behavior? So Joy says, how can I succeed, right? Where can I find the algorithm to solve this? Who has the algorithm? Is it on Google? Is it in a book? Is it through a coach, a consultant? Who has already solved what I want to solve that can make my work faster and easier? How can I? Who can help me? What needs to happen in order for me to solve this faster? Do you see how when we ask ourselves better questions, our brain will say, well, you could do this and this and this. So and so and so and so can help you. So this is part of the modeling. But first, before we do, we want to ask better questions. When we ask better questions, we lead ourselves. The behavior is, in many cases, a better behavior than the behavior that we would normally take on our own, right? So let me ask you a question. If you said to yourself, I wonder, all right, what could I do to, let's say, earn twice as much money in the next 12 months as I did in the last 12 months? I wonder what I could do. I wonder who I could ask. Let me ask you a question. Would you agree that we all have limitations and obstacles? Would you agree that we all have limitations and obstacles? Just give me a yes or no answer. Do we all have limitations and obstacles? Yes or no? The answer is yes, of course, right? Now see a whole bunch of yeses. So we all have obstacles. We all have limitations that are in the way of us achieving our goal, right? So is the how to double your income in the next 12 months, is it solvable? Is it solvable, right? And everybody's saying yes, right? Is it solvable? So the answer is yes, it's solvable. What if I then ask myself, what is one obstacle in my way right now? What is one obstacle in my way right now? And you wrote down the obstacle is maybe I have limiting beliefs, or my obstacle is I don't feel I'm worth earning double the income, or my obstacle is I'm afraid of failure, or my obstacle is I think the economy is bad, or my obstacle is whatever it is. I have an obstacle, or I have a self-imposed limitation. Is it true? Is it true that whatever your obstacle is, I have habits. Okay, money is never the problem, Jen. The reason you don't have money is the problem. So is anxiety the real problem? No, anxiety is an effect. Not having money is an effect. Your habits do control your behavior. But if you are committed, is it true, okay, that if you were committed to removing the obstacle, you could behave in ways that would cause you to be more productive? Like, let's use our brain, right? You have $100 billion brain, right? So you have maybe disempowering beliefs, right? Time management, Skylight, there's no such thing as time management. No such thing as time management. Nobody can manage time. Only thing you can do is manage what you do in time. Very, very different focus, right? So if you're committed, if you have obstacles, whether it's mental obstacles, emotional obstacles, or even a strategical obstacle, right? We have to focus on performance at 3 levels: mental, emotional, and behavioral. Would you agree? Mental, emotional, and behavior, MEB, mental, emotional, and behavioral. So if I ask myself, what is the obstacle that I may have mentally, and I removed that, would I be more efficient? Yes. What is the obstacle emotionally? Okay. What is the obstacle that I may have emotionally that's preventing me from achieving the goal that I have? What if I remove that? And then what is the obstacle that I may have in my behavior? I may be working really, really hard, as I showed you all before, but if I don't do the right things in the right order, I may be working really hard. So what I want you to understand is sometimes you have to slow down to pick up speed. Let me repeat. Sometimes you have to slow down so that you could pick up speed. And what do you want to slow down for? You want to slow down long enough to at least, okay, to at least assess your reality, all right? To at least assess your reality, all right? What's holding me back mentally? Is it limiting beliefs? Is it my perspectives? Is it my emotional challenges that I'm having around fear? How many of you have a fear of failure? Or how many of you are laden with fear of maybe being embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged, and that's why you don't take action? Are you aware, for example, that when you procrastinate, you don't do what you need to do? Procrastination is an effect. Can anybody tell me what procrastination is an effect of? What causes you and me to procrastinate, right? That's an obstacle. If you procrastinate, that's an obstacle. What causes the human being, okay, to procrastinate? What causes a human being to procrastinate? There's only 3 things that really will cause people to procrastinate. So fear, yeah, fear of what? Doubt. So what causes doubt? What causes fear, right? Right, so think about this. When we procrastinate, is it possible that procrastination actually rewards us? Think about this. Is it possible from a neuroscience perspective that we are rewarded when we procrastinate? 3 things that cause procrastination. Number 1, very, very, very few people in the world suffer from this, and this is arousal. Let me explain. There are some people, about 1 to 2% of the population, that when they procrastinate, they wait, they actually get a release of dopamine that actually is a feel-good neurochemical, and then it builds up the stress towards the end, which is cortisol, epinephrine, or norepinephrine, the neurochemicals of stress, and then they innovate and they do what they need to do. How many of you are doing that? Procrastinating because of arousal. Number two reason is you're procrastinating because of fear. So the question is, fear of what? There's 50 different types of fears. So fear of failing. So if I do this and I fail, then I have to deal with the consequences and the emotions of failure. What if I procrastinate? What if I do it and then I'm embarrassed or ashamed or ridiculed or judged? What if I'm disappointed? What if somebody judges me? So when we have something to do and we procrastinate, it's actually giving us a reward in either the form of dopamine, okay, for not taking action, but also dopamine for staying safe. Dopamine for staying safe. When we are safe, we're comfortable. When we're comfortable, we just keep repeating the same patterns and we have the same expectations, even though we are hoping, dreaming, and praying that we will achieve the goal we want. And then the third one we just talked about as well is fear. Fear holds people back because of what will others think of me? What will happen if? And our brain is thinking about the negative consequences of taking action and maybe not succeeding. When we're dealing with do less, achieve more, right? When we're talking about, stop trying so hard, most people are creatures of fill in the blank. Most people are creatures of what? Creatures of what? Somebody type it in. Thanks, Skylight. Rena, yes. What is fear? It's a circuit that's activated in the brain that releases a neurochemical, right? For protection in most cases, right? So what is a habit? What is a habit? What's a habit? What's a habit in the brain? Were you born with any habits? Were you born with any fears? Were you born with any limiting beliefs? Were you born with a self-image? Isn't a habit the brain's way of repeating a pattern that we have followed? Repeating a pattern that we have followed, a thought pattern, emotional pattern, behavior pattern, and a result pattern. Isn't it the brain's way of automation to conserve energy? Isn't it the brain's way of automation to conserve energy? Does your subconscious mind care? Does your subconscious mind care whether you have a good habit, a bad habit, a constructive habit, a destructive habit, an empowering habit, or a disempowering habit? Does your subconscious mind care? I hope all of you are writing the answer, no. Subconscious mind does not care. But once you have developed a habit, a thought habit, positive, negative, doesn't matter. Emotional habit, positive, constructive, negative, destructive, doesn't matter. Behavioral habit doesn't matter. Have any of you ever tried to break a habit? How hard is it to break a habit? Habits are hard to make and hard to break, especially if you don't know the neuroscience of a habit. If you do something one time, does that make it a habit? No. How long does it take to create and reinforce a new habit? How long does it take to release a habit that is not serving you? Anybody know? Does anybody know? It's not easy to break a habit. Why? Because our brain is an energy miser. It wants to protect us from using specifically glucose. Changing a habit requires energy. Developing a habit requires energy. It takes between 66 days and 365 days, 66 to 365, okay, to develop and reinforce a neural pattern depending on the sophistication of the pattern. Think of it as software. How long does it take you to write software code for a cell phone or your computer? And the answer is, well, it depends. If it's a simple software code, it's easier. If it's complex, it takes longer. Does that make sense? So listen, when we are talking about doing less to achieve more, do you think that there's some things you might be able to learn from neuroscience or neuropsychology. Because if you want to learn how to achieve more and do less, then yes, start off with the vision of what you want. And then we have to work on the internal mechanics, the neuromechanics of how our brain works so that we are more efficient. And the way we are more efficient is we model the behaviors, we model the skills, we model the patterns, okay, of doing it right versus doing more of what's wrong. But we do what we do because of habits. 96 to 98% of all of our behaviors are habitual, right? So when we are being smarter, we're actually thinking first. We're not doing and reinforcing patterns, we're thinking first. And then we're laying down a plan of behavior so that we could be efficient by modeling success.
Hey, this is John, and if you liked that video, watch the next video because it is packed with things that you can do right now to achieve success way faster than ever before.